What's up, guys? It's your boy Charmston Gamer here with my post Extreme Rules vlog, and oh my god, what an utter train wreck it was. You had an undeserving, well, not really undeserving, but an unneeded IC title change. You had the wrong guy win the Cruiserweight title, and you had the most over babyface in NXT get squashed like she was nothing in 5 minutes. It's like, you want to know how to destroy careers? Extreme Rules, at least for one superstar, who I'll get into later. That was a masterclass, not a destroy a career. But anyways, let's start at the top. You had, I'm not going to bother with the pre-show because that match meant jack shit. You had Dean Ambrose defending his Intercontinental Championship against The Miz, who of course was accompanied by Maurice. And if Ambrose was disqualified, he would lose the championship. So, a lot of chicanery by The Miz in trying to get Ambrose disqualified, and I applaud that, you know. I mean, he's the slimy heel trying to get the Valiant Face Champion disqualified, and I applaud the psychology there. But most of it, I think, was like a little bit overdone in terms of the attempted cheating, and frankly, he did it a bit too often for my liking. And plus, you had the fact that, let me just move my chair here so you guys get a better shot of me. Plus, you had the fact that you had him tell Maurice to slap him in full view of the referee. Thank God the ref didn't call for the disqualification there. And then Miz shoves Ambrose into the referee, and the referee looked like he's gonna disqualify him when everybody with a brain knows that Dean didn't do it. So that looks stupid. And then you had him hit the skull crushing finale after Ambrose was distracted, and somehow that's enough to put Ambrose away from the 1-2-3. I don't think so. So I mean, you basically had Miz win back the 7th Intercontinental title for what? Basically all I can get off it. He's the male heel flavor of the month for the last few months. So let's just pin the Intercontinental title on him because we have nothing else for him, and we don't think he's good enough to face Brock Lesnar. It's like, I don't know what to do with him. Do you guys know what to do with him? I don't know what to do with him. That's basically the vibe I got from that match. And I mean, okay. I'll give the devil his due. Ambrose wasn't exactly setting the world on fire as Intercontinental Champion, but at least he was something fresh, something new, other than these constant Miz Intercontinental Championship reigns, which frankly he was over. I mean, by the 6th reign after he robbed Zack Ryder of the title the night after Mania 32, once he had the 5th reign, 5th going into the 5th one, where he actually dropped it to Ziggler, he should have been taken out of the IC title picture and elevated back up to the main event, up to the WWE Championship, because his last 2 reigns have been completely unneeded, and let's face it, he didn't do jack or shit for the title in his 6th run, and his 7th run doesn't look like it's going to be that promising either. So again, it begs the question, why do it? You're just, cutting off Ambrose at the knees for pretty much no reason at all when you don't really need to. I mean, okay, he wasn't setting the world on fire, but he was someone fresh. Instead of having Miz capture the title for a mind-numbing 7th time and make it blatantly obvious you want him to pass Jericho for the most Intercontinental title reigns, which to many Jerichoholics out there would be blasphemous, why not have Dean defend the title against the new big heel, other than Braun Strowman? Why not have him defend it against the Drifter, Elias Sampson? People seem to, they give Sampson plenty of vitriol for his Drifter character. Why not try and bank on that, pardon the pun, and work him towards an IC title feud that way? That would at least be something fresh and new, and something that people can get invested in, because you got a gritty, hard-nosed babyface against pretty much just like a meh, I'm just here to piss you off kind of heel, where it would be fresh, something that no one's seen before. We haven't seen Dean work with Elias Sampson, and frankly, he'd be a lot more entertaining at this stage than the woefully overexposed Miz. I mean, sure, Miz is a hell of a promo. I'll give him that. He's an amazing promo artist, but beyond that, and some good heel psychology, his gimmick has kind of gotten tired, and he really needs to either ditch the Hollywood gimmick or move up into the main event and challenge for the WWE Championship. This constant challenging for the Intercontinental Championship is getting old, boring, and stale. He needs to move on to something fresh, damn it. Anyways, I'm not going to really discuss the mixed tag match, other than the fact that it's good to see the hometown boy got a W, but I really don't see the point in discussing that match, because it's basically inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. And hang on a second. It's basically inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. Just checking something. It's basically inconsequential in the grand scheme of things in that, you know, Swan got a victory, you know, Banks got something, you know, they both had something to do. But it's no real big deal. Anyway, now is where I really get ranty. The kendo stick on a pole match for the Raw Women's Championship between my girl, Little Miss Bliss, Alexa Bliss, and everyone's favorite dogger, Bayley. Throughout this program, Alexa has pretty much decimated Bayley at every turn. And, you know, the whole narrative has been, can Bayley get extreme? And Lexi has repeatedly said, you know, Bayley can't get extreme, it's not in her DNA, yada, yada, yada. So, you know, minute in the match, you know, Lexi says, you know, Bayley, go up and get the stick. And Bayley, being the naive little girl that she's portraying right now, more on that later, basically, you know, falls for it and gets jumped. And, you know, they're battling for it within a minute. They're battling for the kendo stick within a minute of the match starting, and I'm thinking to myself, why not have some good chain wrestling for 5 to 10 minutes, and then go after the kendo stick, not just do it first thing? But what do I know? Apparently I'm just a fan, right? What do I know about properly pacing? But anyway, she goes for the, they both go for the kendo stick, and they're fighting for it for the better part of a few minutes, and then Alexa just flat out wails on Bayley with the kendo stick. You ought to see the welts on Bayley's back from that. She was just getting nailed, shot after shot with it. Finally, Bayley hits Alexa with the belly to Bayley literally out of nowhere, picks up the kendo stick, but for some reason, Bayley hesitates, and she, I guess, she like just freezes up and is reluctant to use a kendo stick. When, if let's not all forget, Bayley asked General Manager Kurt Angle for this match. She asked for a match that would allow her to get extreme. Then she picks up the weapon and she does nothing with it? What? That makes little to no sense. And then, you know, she of course has the hesitation with the kendo stick. And then, you know, Alexa gets it after she spears the daylights out of Bayley. You know, whips her a few more times with that kendo stick, and then snap DDT. I'm expecting a Bayley kick out, so she can lead into some kind of comeback and potentially win the title. But after just 5 minutes and 10 seconds of action, 1, 2, 3, and I'm looking at the screen like, that's it? You basically just turn the most over babyface on the planet, the easiest babyface in all of wrestling history to get over, and made her look like a complete chump. I mean, you had that segment that will not be mentioned on this channel, otherwise I'll get roasted alive and eaten with toasted marshmallows if I mention that segment. But anyway, it's like, you have the most marketable babyface since probably Stone Cold Steve Austin, if you want to call it that. Well, not really Stone Cold. But you have the most marketable female babyface since probably AJ Lee. And you have Lexi verbally destroy her for weeks. That's fine, you know, to build up the match. You know, Lexi being the mouthy, snarky, swarmy heel and all that. That's fine. But when it comes to the Extreme Rules match, you have them go for just 5 minutes. And when Bayley gets to stick, you know, a chance to finally get some revenge, you know, beat the holy hell out of Lexi. She doesn't even have to win, but, you know, she gets a stick and hesitates with it. Lexi hits her with a snap DDT and pins her in just over 5 minutes. That is the pure definition of a squash. And, frankly, I don't know what Bayley can do to recover from this. I mean, coming up from NXT, she was one of the most can't-miss prospects, and you had people wondering, okay, there is literally no way in hell you can screw up a character that is organic and as universally loved as Bayley. Come last night in Baltimore, my former hometown, they were booing the hell out of Bayley. Why? Simple. It's nothing that Bayley's done. No indictment on her. But it's because her character has been so poorly booked. I mean, they have that segment last Monday on Raw where Lexi just tears her down constantly. And then when Bayley comes out for revenge, she goes to get the kendo stick, and then what happens? they book her to get beaten down. I mean, they've basically turned the most over babyface in the last 5 to 10 years with the most lovable and fan-appealing gimmick that sells millions of dollars of merchandise every week into the biggest chump on the Raw women's roster. Excuse me, I got a little tongue-tied there. But it's like, it's a masterclass in how to frickin' destroy a character. There's literally no excuse for why Bayley couldn't get some shots in. She didn't have to win or anything. She could take some shots and then they could, I don't know, build on the novel concept of Nia Jax being Alexa's bodyguard and have her come out. Since it's a candlestick on the pole match, it's obviously no disqualification. Nia could come out and hammer Bayley a few times with the candlestick, and Lexi could get a cheap win. This lets Bayley stay sympathetic and keep the title, while also giving Lexi while also keeping a lot of heat on Lexi. But instead, you give Lexi all the heat in the world, and basically make her look like a bona fide babyface, and how much she was cheered, and how easily she destroyed Bayley. And meanwhile, you have Bayley looking like an absolute chump. So, I mean, I don't know what they can do to salvage Bayley at this point. I mean, I'm hoping and praying something happens on Raw, but unless something happens quick, she's going to turn into one of the biggest NXT disappointments probably since Tyler Breeze came up at the end of 2015. I mean, Bayley is the easiest character in the world to market, easiest as hell to book her, and you have this happen to her. It's like, what the flying fuck are you doing? Seriously, what do you need? I mean, how easy is it to just watch her NXT work, watch the storyline she went through in NXT, and just copy the booking there and pen it to some degree for the main roster? She has the most easiest gimmick of all to book, and you do this shit. It's just mind-boggling. I don't know what else to say. Anyways, enough about the candlestick on a pole match. I probably spent like 6 minutes ranting about that. Then you have Cesaro and Sheamus in a steel cage match against the Hardy Boys. You know, great match, good psychology and everything. But again, there's more mind lapse in the booking, which was pretty much the story of Extreme Rules. Instead of letting Sheamus just walk out the door, this is after Jeff Hardy's already exited the cage, so the Hardys just need one more man out to win. Instead of letting just Sheamus exit the cage and then just following him right out the door to win, Matt, for some inexplicable reason, keeps fighting Sheamus, trying to keep him in the cage when Cesaro's in there as well. Instead of just letting Sheamus walk out the door and then follow him clean out for the win. It just makes little to no sense. And quite frankly, their run as tag team champions could have gone much longer. Because let's face it, nobody right now is really cheering for Sheamus. And Cesaro, I think, really is miscast as a heel. He should be an upper echelon babyface, probably competing against Lesnar for the Universal Championship. Nothing against the actual number one contender, which I'll get to later. But it's like, I mean, okay, I get it. It's a steel cage match, and both competitors as a team have to get down and out of the cage at the same time. But with Jeff Hardy escaped, why are you fighting Sheamus to keep him in the cage? At most, you should let go of him, let him get out, and then just follow him out the door to victory. I mean, it's the easiest way. That's the most straightforward finish, and they bungle that up too. I don't understand. I don't get it. Alright, next up, you had Neville against Austin Aries submission match. Hell of a match. Probably the second best match of the night. But, again, there was some missteps. I mean, you had Neville targeting, you had Aries tweak the knee coming off the top rope, and then Neville hardly paid really any attention to it. I mean, Aries tried to figure four. It worked for a while, and it weakened Neville's leg and everything, but, you know, that wasn't properly addressed for some bizarre reason. And then you had, what was it? And then you had Aries actually getting the last chancery on him and pulling Neville outside, and because of Neville's, I guess, core strength, he pulls Aries outside the ring, and he eventually taps out there. Which, in a normal match, obviously submissions cannot occur outside the ring. But considering this is Extreme Rules, obviously a submission outside the ring should legally qualify as a victory. And to make it even more asinine, In a submission match, the referee is counting the wrestlers out. A submission match means there's no disqualifications, no countouts. Yet the referee completely forgot that and starts counting out both wrestlers during a submission match. What on earth is that referee on? And keep that shit away from me. And anyway, the finish comes when Neville avoids a suicide dive, then rolls Aries back in the ring, hits the Red Arrow to his back, and clamps on that ridiculously looking Rings of Saturn and forces Aries to tap out. And when Aries tapped, I was like, oh my god. You had the perfect match to crown Austin Aries. The absolute perfect match, because, let's face it, the guy's a master of submissions. You had the most perfect match to crown Austin Aries, and to crown a new champion, a new fresh champion, that isn't, bland and boring as hell on the microphone. I mean, okay, the whole King of the Cruiserweights. That was a terrible Neville impression, I know. The whole King of the Cruiserweights thing was okay at first, but now the gimmick has become bland, boring, and tired. And Aries represented the perfect babyface challenger to eventually beat Neville. And instead, you have him tap out, clean as a whistle, to the goddamn Rings of Saturn. When if you want Aries to lose via submission, have him pass out. Show that he, show that he couldn't take the pain and he eventually passed out. Don't have him tap like a loser. If you have to have him lose, have him pass out. But nope, they decided, Neville should hold on to the belt even longer for another 5 weeks. And then, who knows when he'll drop it. It should have gone to Austin Aries, plain and simple. Aries has deserved a Cruiserweight title run ever since this whole program started. He's pretty much been carrying it in terms of match quality. Well, I wouldn't say carrying it, actually. But he's been Neville's equal every step of the way. And the fact that they didn't crown him just makes little to no sense to me. I mean, that's his type of match. He has a deadly submission of his own in the last Chancery. And he actually had Neville tapping out. I mean, sure, it's outside the ring, but it's fucking Extreme Rules. Sure, the match wasn't an Extreme Rules submission match, but by all rights, no matter where the submission takes place, it should count. If he was having him tapping outside the ring in an Extreme Rules match, it would count. It should count, man. The fact that not only did the referee count the wrestlers out in a submission match, or at least try to, but the fact that he didn't call for the submission and the victory and award Aries the title when he had him tapping out outside the ring, it's like, what the fuck on their part. And finally, the main event. I mean, this match was full of great spots and everything. They had the Uneasy Alliance with Bray Wyatt and Samoa Joe. Great stuff there. And you had Seth Rollins flying around like a freaking 747 with the splashes and everything. It was well executed and everything. And then, toward the end, Finn hits the coup de grace. And then Joe, like the scavenger that he is, sneaks in, locks in the coquina clutch, and makes Finn pass out from the submission, and as a result, he's the #1 contender. See, they did exactly what they should have done with the Aries match, but to the wrong person. See, I think that a bigger money match would be that the match they should have gone with is Finn Balor against Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship, because Finn never lost his title, and he frankly is the rightful #1 contender. But instead, they're throwing away a potential SummerSlam or WrestleMania main event in Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar at a C-list pay-per-view that probably no one will even remember. Probably after a week after it airs. I mean, you have the pay-per-view called Great Balls of Fire, based off a song that came out in 1957. Seriously, Vince, get your head out of the 50s and get it straight in how to book people right. You had a perfect Cruiserweight championship. You had a perfect babyface in waiting to crown a new champion. You didn't do that. You turned the most lovable babyface in history into a complete dork and loser. And you had a guy that doesn't need the Intercontinental Championship, that is so far beyond the IC Championship, captured for a mind-numbing 7th time, when he should be focusing his energies either on the WWE Championship or pull off a miracle heel victory against Lesnar and capture the Universal title. I mean, there was literally nothing right about this review. If I had to rate this thing, I rated 1 star. I will never rate pay-per-view 0 stars, but Jesus Christ. There was so much about this review. You can see why I've talked about it for 20 minutes, because there was so much wrong with it. I don't know what the hell the writing staff was thinking, especially with the Bayley situation. Having her be completely annihilated in 5 minutes. I'm the biggest Alexa Bliss fan there is, but even I know Bayley deserves better than that. We all know she's better than that. And the fact that you had her get destroyed that quickly with little to no offense is just pathetic. Considering that she went toe-to-toe with fucking Asuka in NXT and passed out from her submission rather than tapped out like a loser. And then you had her to get destroyed in 5 minutes. I mean, the rumor is that the reason why the match went so short was because of the poor reception from the "This Is Your Life" segment. I said the name, but anyways, the reason, I mean, it's either that or because Bayley refused to do the Total Divas. And I ask you, why the fuck are you blaming the wrestlers for your poorly thought out segment? You guys are the ones that wrote that piece of shit segment on Raw. You should not blame Bayley and Alexa for it by shortchanging their championship match. It's just a 5-minute squash because of your inane and stupid writing staff. I mean, seriously. Jesus Christ. You have like I said, you have the most over babyface in probably the last 10 years. And you treat her like an absolute chump because of the poor reception to your putridly written segment on Monday Night Raw? Where's the sense in that? Anyways, I've talked long enough about this train wreck review. Hope you all enjoyed the video. It's your boy Charm Sigma signing out. Remember, if you liked the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to join the Charm Nation today. And Extreme Rules, just fuck off.